Taking Stock with Carol Masser and Michael McKee. On demand via our Bloomberg Radio Plus app. Free for iPhone and Android devices.
Well, check out the new Miami Urban Core because just launched is the Magic City Fund. It's a private equity real estate fund raising money to develop commercial and residential mixed-use projects in the new Miami Urban Core. Let's talk to the team behind the move. Tony Cho is back with us. He's founder and chief executive officer at Metro One Properties, based in Miami. Also based in Miami is Bob Zangrillo. He's chief executive officer at Dragon Global. Great to have you both here on Bloomberg Radio. Tony, I'm going to kick it off with you because you were here a little while ago with us, and we did talk about kind of how hot the Miami area real estate market is. It's been for a few years now. What is it? What are the big trends that are really impacting the market?
I mean, Miami's really going through a wonderful moment. It's it's a tremendous amount of international capital flowing into the city, cutting edge developments, a lot of infrastructure investment. And it's just emerging as a really desirable global city.
What's the difference, though? Because there always seems to be international money flowing into Miami.
This is different. This is not just high net worth individuals. This is institutional capital. This is real projects. This is real architects. This is real institutions, cultural institutions. It's graduated. It's no longer, just a fun in the sun kind of place. It's really now a credible major market.
Robert. At this point, your focus of the new Magic City Fund is downtown Miami, not the areas most people tend to think about when they think of Miami. This is sort of like a trend that is around the world right now of revitalizing the urban core. But why in Miami when there are beaches to be had, as it were?
So we're actually just north of downtown. So we've committed over $100 million of initial capital. And on our current projects, we can develop over $1 billion plus of opportunity with some urban infill and some mixed-use projects. So, the reason why we back Tony is we're looking for an innovative partner to really, really grow the urban core, no different than Lower Manhattan grew, where you had, the Empire State Building, and then you graduated down to Soho, Meatpacking District, and Lower Manhattan. So we see the same trend heading there between 95 and the rail.
And you're backing it because you see returns on your investment, correct?
Yes.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
How long does it take, though? Talk to us about how quickly things are moving along in what was a heated, overheated, beaten up, now heating up again market.
Right. So we take a long-term plan. So we're in a couple different neighborhoods. We're south of the Design District in Wynwood, which we think is going to be up and coming over the next 3 years.
Right.
Especially as some of our projects go through a rezoning effort on 29th Street. And we see some of the other longer-term plays taking, closer to 5+ years. And so we're in it for the long term, right? We're acquiring properties. We think the winds are going to be behind our back for years to come.
Easy to acquire properties at this point?
Very, very difficult now. So we've been acquiring properties that we've been, Tony's been working on over the last 10+ years. And, over the last 2 years, we've put together, roughly over $100 million worth of projects, currently owned by the fund. So there'll be times where we just go vertical, when it's much more expensive to buy land, and there'll be times where, either in the down cycle or we can buy something contiguous, we'll expand our portfolio.
Do it as it makes sense.
Exactly.
All right. What are you building? When you talk about developing, what kind of things are we going to see?
What do you want to do?
What do people want?
You want to be different. You don't want to be the traditional, high-rise office buildings. You're placemaking. You're creating neighborhoods. You're shaping areas. So you want to be innovative. You're going to adapt certain buildings, like you've seen in the meatpacking and you've seen in Wynwood and you've seen other areas, You're also going to do some ground up mixed use. We're going to be focusing a lot on sustainability, and it's market driven, depending on what the market can hold at that moment. So it's kind of a multi-pronged strategy to create cash flow and to add value to a neighborhood and really kind of capitalize on areas where there's really well-located real estate that hasn't really been conceptualized.
I love it when you talk about sustainability. I'm kind of into the greener projects, and I'm just curious from a developer's perspective, is there the demand out there? Do people want to do it, or do you do it because there's tax breaks, or do you do it because it's the right thing? What?
You do it because it's the right thing, and you hope to get all the tax breaks you can get. And I think more and more people are becoming conscious
Buyers
and
appreciate
aware.
it?
They're starting to. Most people just are driven by bottom line, but I think a lot more people are conscious and sensitive to the impact on the environment, especially in South Florida. And I think that more and more people are going to be, picky about where they live and what they do. And so transit-oriented development is important to us. We have a major problem with traffic in Miami. We don't have a public transportation system yet. We have a lot of infrastructure in the works, so that's really exciting. All Aboard Florida is going to be connecting Miami to Orlando with a high-speed train. It's an $800 million
That's a big
project.
deal.
Huge deal. So it's becoming a mega region. So between Orlando and Miami, you're going to have 15 million people connected, which is huge.
What's the mix in this Magic City Fund development between residential and office development? Are you finding a lot of people want to live downtown and want to be near work?
I think that if you look at it, there are a lot of people who live downtown because they work downtown, but there's also a certain part of the population that really wants a neighborhood. They want to be able to walk around. So these walkable new areas, if you look at the design district now and the amount of residential that's going into there, or you look at Wynwood and the residential that be added there, people want to have that local community aspect of not being in a high rise and having an option. No different than people here could live up on the Upper East Side in a big high rise, or live down the Meatpacking District, or live in Soho, or live in Tribeca. So we see the same trend happening.
Are you following demand there or creating it?
We're doing both. We were pioneering in Wynwood when I first got into the neighborhood 14 years ago, and now there's incredible headwinds. It was voted ninth sexiest neighborhood, most important neighborhood in the world by Vogue magazine recently. So there's a lot of attention on Wynwood. So there's a lot of momentum, and there's specific product that will work there. A lot of the tech companies are looking at locating there. So you're seeing similar trends happening in Miami. In other neighborhoods, in Miami, we're going to be placemaking and creating neighborhoods, and so it really depends on what you're doing. And we have a nice mix of income-producing properties and development opportunities and placemaking opportunities that really, help us hedge any risk and helps create an opportunity for investors to get in at a very, very good value.
You mentioned risk. And Bob, let me bring you back into this. What's the risk of this this area becoming an overheated market?
I think all markets, especially in Miami, go through being overheated just because of the momentum that comes behind there. But if you really take a long-term plan and a long-term view, we're here with a lot of staying power.
You're okay if there's some blips along the way.
We assume there's going to be blips along the way. We're going with staying power. We're not putting a lot of leverage on our projects, and we're here
You're
to go.
not putting a lot of leverage.
No, we have barely any leverage on our projects. So we're looking in the downturns to take advantage of that and acquire more. But we're kind of long-term, long-staying partners. We're not looking for the quick in, quick out.
Tony, is there any feeling that people are all of a sudden kind of everybody jumping on board to build?
You know what? There's a lot of people trying to do high rises, but what we're doing is very unique. It's infill, it's mixed use, it's low to mid scale, and I don't see a lot of people doing that. There's a few people, and so we kind of have a different strategy. And again, it's long-term placemaking. We have staying power. And what's different about this market from the last market is that there's not a lot of leverage. The banks are very disciplined. They're not just giving money away. You're not getting 100% financing.
They're pretty picky.
So they're pretty picky. Although prices, seem high in a lot of respects, I see that there's a lot of value specifically in these emerging markets.
You getting all the retailers that you want?
We're getting a lot of the retailers to be interested in things that we never thought that they would be interested in. Grocery stores.
I had somebody say you can tell the success of a neighborhood is when the grocery stores open up.
Our goal is not really the national brands at this point. When you're creating a neighborhood, you want the independent flavor. You want to
market feel.
Yeah, you want to be able to walk around and feel like you have a neighborhood that's not just anywhere America. And that's really what we're focused on. We're not, the traditional CVS developer. We're creating urban neighborhoods that have a particular flavor.
Well, we wish you well with it. Gentlemen, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having us on your show again.
Yes,
Tony, great to have you back. Tony Cho.
Two more guys from Miami come up to where it's cold. I don't get it. All these guys from Florida today.
Two guys from Miami. It sounds like a show. Tony Cho of Metro One Properties and Bob Zangrillo of Dragon Global joining us here. I'm Carol Masser, my co-host Michael McKee. This is Taking Stock, and you are listening to Bloomberg Radio.
Taking Stock, weekdays at 2 p.m. Eastern in New York on Bloomberg 1130, in Boston on 1200 AM and 94.5 FM HD2, in San Francisco on 960 AM and 103.7 FM HD2, and Sirius XM Satellite Radio Channel 119. Copyright 2014 Bloomberg LP.